Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our co-hosts, Sri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Sri and Peter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the CPG Guys podcast. I'm Sri, one of the aforementioned CPG guys, and my domains of expertise are on brands, direct-to-consumer, unified commerce, retail media, and marketplaces. And then there's this other CPG guy. His expertise is around retail, customer data, insights, CRM, and loyalty. And he's the man with the golden voice that sometimes I also refer to as Mr. 007, aka Mr. Bond. And Peter, how are you today?
Sri, I'm doing really well. It's so great to record these episodes. I know we love meeting new people. This is just so much fun, and thank you for joining me on this journey.
You bet, Peter. But before we get to our guest, I want to remind our audience that all of our content and some of the highlights include our series on profitability that y'all asked us for, our women's leadership series back in last year in 2020, where we were able to actually to donate $8,000 to the Susan G. Komen Fund, along with a match donation. And our founder series of Q1 of 2021 can easily be found on cpgguys.com. Every now and then, we also update our favorite podcasts, which you can also find on cpgguys.com. Check our ongoing 1Q1A series on Instagram with a lot of great industry luminaries, and you can find that by simply looking for our IGTV under our Instagram channel, which is CPG Guys. Our show's content is very much driven by you. We take polls on LinkedIn from time to time, but we want to be very clear. You tell us who to bring on, what sort of content you want to hear, and that's what we bring here on the CPG Guys. And the best way to do that is you can leave us a rating and a review by going to ratethispodcast.com/CPG Guys and follow us on LinkedIn. The easy way. Simply go to LinkedIn, go to the search bar and type CPG Guys. And we love those follow. I'm sure you do as well, Peter. Love those follow clicks that people do.
Absolutely.
And we really appreciate your direction, guiding us and coaching us on content for this show. So without further ado, let me welcome my friend and our guest today, the Chief Digital Officer at E.L.F Beauty, which she joined in 2016 before being promoted to her current role last year. She spent a career in transforming private equity-backed companies with cutting-edge technologies, high-performance teams, and digital technologies. She's known for keeping fast-growing enterprises agile by readily adopting new tech, recruiting amazing teams and talent, and developing high-impact strategies. Join Peter and me in welcoming to the podcast none other than Ekta Chopra. Welcome, Ekta. How are you today?
Hi, so nice to be here. Thank you. I'm really excited to be speaking with you guys.
And thank you so much for making time for us today. But before we start the questions, could you please first tell us where the audience can learn more about E.L.F Beauty online and a brief overview of E.L.F Beauty, and including if people want to get in touch with you, how they do it?
Sure. So you could go to www.elfbeauty.com, which is our investor site, and we'll tell you everything about E.L.F Cosmetics, Keys Soul Care, and well, people who are part of that brand portfolio. If I think about E.L.F Beauty, E.L.F stands for every eye, lip, face, and paw. We really do. And that statement gives me chills every time I say that statement. It's just a beautiful statement. By standing with every eye, lip, and face and paw, we commit to creating a culture internally and in the world around us. So we believe in E.L.F inside out. And if you go to our elfcosmetics.com, E.L.F Cares page will tell you about our purpose, what we stand for, the causes we stand for. And I think purpose is part of our DNA as well. So, of course, E.L.F is also available on all the major retailers and their websites. So Walmart, Target, Amazon. You can literally find us in every retailer around the US and globally.
How awesome is that to be able to say you can literally find us at every retailer, not just locally, but also globally. A testament to the distribution gains you'll have gotten over the last few years. For the benefit of our audience, you will find links to the actual website in the liner notes of this podcast that you can easily find. So why don't we get to the questions, and I'll actually ask the first one for you, Ekta. What is the role of a CDO at E.L.F Beauty? And what does your daily routine actually look like?
Wow, that's a great question. So, role of a CDO at E.L.F, I really think it's not just about, I manage tech, e-commerce, and consumer service, but I would also say I play a strong role in the culture of the company and bringing change in the company. So every time there's any big, I do like almost quarterly digital sponsored happy hours for the teams. We have musicians, we have, include all the executive teams. So I do think that building that culture and that momentum in a distributed team is very much part of my role as well, ever since COVID hit as well. And from a daily routine perspective, I instilled in me around 30 minutes of silent me time every morning where I'm focused on doing something for myself, whether it's reading, whether it's exercising, whatever my heart's desire with my favorite cup of coffee, and then get my day started. And it can start as early as 7 because our team's in New York, or it can start as early as 6. It all depends on, when the early morning meetings are. And it goes on till there's no boundaries anymore, whenever I want to shut down. So, but I always try to, really have some alone time with my daughter as well. She's very, very much part of my life. So 3 hours of time with her is throughout the day is really important to me. But other than that, it's all about building relationship with the team. Cross-functionally, I have my check-ins, as well as we have leadership teams. There's always something going on.
Ekta, it's a pleasure to have you join us today. Thank you very much. And it's really nice to meet you. Before I ask you a question, I'll make one comment. We had a guest on recently, Nick Modi from RBC Capital, and we asked him about how they recognize value in companies that have purpose. And his comment back to us was, when a company has a very strong purpose, similar to what you described, ultimately that's what attracts really great talent. So I'm sure that that's the case with you all, and that's terrific. I'm a content person. That's my area of focus when I'm not doing podcasting. So I'd sure love to hear from you about the role that digital content plays, its importance in the customer journey, particularly when your scale is primarily driven by physical retail presence.
Yeah. But I'll say content, if data is, queen, content is king, and, having a good product is just table stakes, right? You got to have a good product. In terms of, in digital, the role that content plays, it's essential. And not just any content, but having a good content supply chain. So your audience, your segments, everybody knows this now. Digital has become sort of, it's more than just selling on your site. It's a full ecosystem, your paid media segments, your email, your SMS, and everything, all encompassing. Having a solid content supply chain is the only way to engage with your consumer. And that's not just throwing out any piece of content. You're measuring that content and you're making sure it's resonating with that audience and so forth. So I'd say content is absolutely at the center of everything, but not just that, but building a process around it so you can serve every unique experience is just as important. And then measuring what content is working or not working is also very essential. At E.L.F, we have 3 pillars. One really is around building a strong ecosystem that's connected, and E.L.F shows up, basically consistent across every single touch point. Second is around harnessing consumer data, making sure that you are really understanding your consumer, who they are, where they're shopping, and so forth. And the third is personalization at scale. And all of that should drive your digital commerce ecosystem, and it certainly has for us. And not just our direct channels, it's also driving triple-digit growth with our retailer.com. It's also driving, amazing traffic, even during COVID times, so at brick and mortar stores. So I would say when your brand shows up consistently and you are measuring your content, as well as the storytelling that you're doing, you really lift all boats. It's not just your direct channel.
Speaking of content, showing up, retailer.com and the phenomenal success, congratulations that you've had on retailer.com. Triple digit growth is no easy feat. One of the places where content shows up these days, especially in the last year, as her habits are shifting from browsing in store to virtually almost all browsing being online 24/7 these days, is the word retail media. If you want to be successful, in a past life, we'd create displays in store, engaging
Mhm.
displays. And over the last, I would say 5 years as opposed to last year, all of that has moved online. What's your take, Ekta, on retail media and its growing importance to brands in general? And do y'all take this as one of the capability areas that y'all are really muscling up in?
Yeah. So what I will say is, if you think of all the changes that are happening with Apple and IDFA changes, privacy and so forth, retail media is even becoming more sort of like an important investment. So that's like one thing. The ecosystem around us, around privacy, is almost bringing up these things that were nice to do. They are a must to do now. Amazon, of course, they own their own data. So playing there is another big thing that you have to do. What I'll say from a retailer perspective, we have done test and learns, and they've been very successful. There's another thing that we have done, which we're going to do a press release soon, would be we've partnered with this really unique, I want to say, sort of a platform that one of our partners, and because the press release is not out, I cannot name it, but you can essentially imagine it's a GA360 or Google Analytics for your retailers. And they allowed us to do that with our launch of KeySoulCare.com and now ELFcosmetics.com. So what does that mean? It means that I can study the campaigns that I invest in with the retailer. How effective are they? How is the content providing? Everything that I can do with GA on my site, now with this platform, I can do it on the retailer.com site, which is a game changer because many retailers don't open that kimono. They don't share anything. But with this platform, you can actually do that. So that's another way where we're sort of figuring out how to build a deeper connection with the with our retailer and actually take insights to them rather than them coming to us. So that's, of course, we'll do more and more investment, but we'll also do more insights and we'll do all more data-driven campaigns with them.
Ekta, let me shift the conversation to the topic of innovation, because for brands, that's the lifeblood of growth. I'd love to hear from you how innovation is planned and introduced at E.L.F. Beauty, and is there a huge digital emphasis on day one, including how you are even digitally promoting innovative products?
Wow. E.L.F. is a digital native. So that's digital is in our DNA. We started selling $1 makeup online when people didn't think that online was a thing. So I would say it's always been part of our DNA. The whole concept was tested on our site and then take those insights to the retailers to showcase what actually works and what are consumers resonating to. So yes, absolutely. From our bi-weekly stage gates where we talk about new products to go-to-market strategy, where we talk about campaigns coming to life or any digital features that we do. Everything, innovation is definitely part of our DNA, and it starts with data. Data is the fuel for a digital ecosystem. We know the consumer and their behavior more than anyone else does in the organization. So for us, it's really important that we take those insights, whether it be when we're, Topbox, which is our listening tool, sentiment tool, to whether it be, our customer data platform, which tells us a lot of information about our first party data. So we do take a lot of that information to our different, cross-functional big meetings like StageGate or go-to-market strategies, so we can fuel them with data to, really make that innovation even better than it's going to be.
So, Ekta, speaking of being a digital native, direct to consumer, this must be an automatic and probably one that has been around at E.L.F. Beauty forever. How important is D2C for you, given you have an amazing network of store doors that you're already distributed in globally? And is this just wired into the DNA of this brand and you do it regardless of whether you're counting the dollar sales and it's really about first party data and relationships?
Yeah. What I'm really proud of is 2018, obviously digital was a muscle that had to be built. It was a culture shift that had to happen. And 2018, when we saw first time ever, we weren't growing. We had 1% decline, just 1%. And everybody woke up to that and said, oh, the digital is a real thing. Maybe we should consider that. Oh, so where are we going to get the money? So we shut down our E.L.F stores at that time and took all those dollars and invested in digital. But it was a big culture shift. It was, and it still is at times, educating people around what digital means and why it's important. Our own .com is a flagship. That's where you build relationship with the consumer. That's where you gather, insights about the consumer. That's where they join your loyalty program. And that is the big thing. That's the most important thing that our brand site can offer is you are the brand authority there. You are the authority in education, in innovation, in how-tos, you name it. Everything that the consumer wants to learn and your purpose. So I think the company, or at least the leadership, truly believes that now. And I'm really proud of that. From our CEO, who's always like, oh, how many loyalty members do we have now? How many receipt scans are we doing now? Like, he's so engaged that it's tremendously, it's invigorating, it's energizing, that everything that we do resonates with our internal teams, but also with our consumers.
So let's double click a little bit down on that. I'd love to understand a little bit more about how you're leveraging your direct to consumer program to both connect with and learn from your consumers. Any examples or experiences you want to share with us would be tremendous.
Yeah, great. So I would say, let's start with, in order for you to really learn about your consumer on your site, what we built around 2017 was a loyalty program. And I'd say loyalty program is the most, I think it's, once again, it'll be table stakes for companies going forward. If they haven't thought of a loyalty or a rewards program, they should think about it. We have grown that loyalty program to about almost 2.7 million consumers now. It's a huge number for us. I think what also happened last year was we had 66% new consumers show up to our brand. These are consumers that never either, went to our site. They were probably going to Walmart and the Targets and the Ulta of the world, but when the world shut down, they ended up coming to our sites, right? So what is the benefit of that, and how do we sort of carry that forward? These are consumers that offers are not just that they signed up for X% signed up for our loyalty, X% took advantage of our receipt scanning capability that you can actually not just buy, at E.L.F and get rewards, but you can buy at Walmart and Ulta and Amazon.com and still get rewards for it. So now we have a broader pool of people that we know where are they shopping, not just at E.L.F, but retailer.com. That data is invaluable in enriching that data, learning about your consumer. And we don't care where they shop. We want them to be in charge of where they want to spend their dollar, but we want them to engage with us. And that's the only way you can do that is with a solid loyalty program that, really gets you to learn about your consumer.
Shri, she had me at loyalty. Did you hear that? Like over 2 million members.
I did.
That is powerful CRM capabilities. I am in awe. That is phenomenal.
Thank
Shri.
you.
Ekta, if it's not too much to ask, and I know we didn't speak about this in advance, but Peter and I would love to learn that word loyalty, right? Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you, and what may be some forms that you're actually using that loyalty to communicate and build a relationship with the consumer?
Yeah. Loyalty to our community is already very engaged. When we collaborate with anyone, they tell us, and if they don't think it's authentic to our brand, our community will tell you. Our community is a loyal community in general. the loyalty members who are joining our loyalty program, these are the most engaged consumers. How do we know that? We know that we launched an E.L.F app. I want to say 56% of the people who actually joined loyalty are coming from the app now, which is an incredible, thing in itself. This consumer is a loyalty member. They are leaving reviews. They are, sort of calling our customer service. You see their, their full journey from what they purchased, how often did they purchase, what are they saying about our brand on Instagram or wherever they're, going. They are engaging with us. So loyalty for us is the most engaged consumer who really cares about E.L.F in a very deeper way. So what are we doing? We're taking this now and we're building E.L.F app 2.0, just focused on the loyalty community. So even if you think about, all the changes that are happening with privacy, I think this is the community that you need to grow, harness, build a relationship with, because they're the ones who are going to inform everything else that you do. So for loyalty for us is a really, really important investment. We just built a brand new CRM team in the middle of the pandemic. We're investing, one of our major investments for this year and onwards is going to be anything to do with loyalty, because that's going to help us grow this first party data and get this community of people that are your go-to people every time you launch something, every time you want feedback, every time you want something that you're doing big about, doing something big. This is the community that will help you sort of, determine if you should do it or not.
Hey, Ekta, can I ask you to tell us a little bit more about App 2.0 related to what are some of the real crucial content components, experience, and loyalty components that you're weaving into this app?
Yeah. So for us, it's going to have an area where, of course, today our app is very basic. It is a wrapper. There isn't any unique experience. The two things that it provides value on is that you can scan your receipts very easily on the app for your loyalty members. The second benefit is our augmented reality tool that we launched on it. So we've been seeing a lot of engagement on that tool. 2.0 will have a special section for the loyal community. The features that we're going to do is, if you are a loyalty member with certain, tier or something, you'll get access to certain experiences, certain collaborations like Chipotle, E.L.F Chipotle, or you would get, something really unique that is going to allow you to really sort of, engage in a different way. So I would say that our app 2.0 will offer a space, almost call it Slack-like, or, Facebook, I hate to use that word, or community building, like a area where we can engage with them on a one-to-one level. Our community managers can engage with the loyalty members, get feedback on new products, get feedback on new collaborations that we're doing, the influencers that we're working with. So it's almost like building your own social channel in a way, rather than having them go to somewhere else. So can we achieve that? That's the hope. But we have such amazing team of superheroes. I have no doubt we can do it. So.
How awesome is that, Peter? Amazing team of superheroes. So I
want to put my cape on, Shri. This is very. I love the fact that you are looking to actively engage with everyday influencers, those people that are out there, they're highly engaged with your brand, and it's not just you're pushing content out to them. You're seeking feedback in this environment that you're controlling. This is phenomenal.
Thank you.
I feel on this episode, we've hit quite a few spectrums. We started with the scale of the store door distribution model that's already in play for you. You have phenomenal triple-digit growth on retailer.com. Then we jumped into retail media. We've talked app. We've talked D2C, the importance of cultural and people transformation and your leadership that you're bringing every day to the table there. We even talked about something really cool, which is me time and how you spend 3 hours with your daughter every day. But I want to hone down now on data, because we talked a little bit about data, right? 1P data, especially given how important you've already explained loyalty is to you and how you're going about that. So if we benchmark that against retail data, like is one more important? Is it all the same because it's one giant pool of data? But
Yeah.
specifically 1P data as you're collecting it, are you harnessing it and using it in your quarterly planning cycles like innovation? And is there any way of getting 1P data outside D2C, like meaningful 1P data?
Yeah. Such a powerful question, I think, because it's been a journey for us. We started with a very simple earn and burn loyalty program. That doesn't give you much. Yes, you get a checkbox that this person is a loyalty member, and you get the order information or whatever else that they get. Then it kind of evolved into, we did a beauty profile, which tells you, it's an opt-in profile. They tell you a little bit more about themselves, the tone, the colors, what their preferences are. Now, not a lot of people opted in, but I would say close to 1 million people opted in, which is nice. Now, not all of them completed the full profile. So now you have a few profiles that are even more enriched. Now, this is only data from your site. How do you make it more enriched? You do that by having an killer loyalty program that allows you to give consumer a feature around the receipt scanning. Now you have even a more enriched data, and X% of a consumer now shops at Walmart and Target and so forth, right? So now that broader pool that you didn't know about. Now, where are we today? We are today where we have one stitched golden record of the consumer. And I feel like that's the most victorious thing I've ever done in my career, where I've taken 50 different sources, whether that be, Facebook, Instagram, all the media data, imagine all the customer service engagement, email data, SMS data, and I've stitched it with this one golden record of the consumer. That is the most valuable record that the consumer has given you and trusted you with. So now that's one profile. Now we've built what's called our recency, frequency, measurable RFM segments against it. And in terms of like, why is this important? Of course, the privacy changes are making it more and more important. I would say that loyalty is going to continue to play a huge role in informing our strategy going forward, because of all these privacy changes, you're not going to get certain metrics that you used to get back. You won't know your paid media, effectiveness as much as you thought you would in the past. And that's the reason why I think it's going to become even more important. Can you acquire it somewhere else? Unless the customers, at least for us, unless Ulta.com gives us, their customer information, it's not happening. So I think the only way to do that is doing some amazing, collaborations. For instance, we are collaborating with a few marketplaces and, retailer.com collaborations that are actually going to give you customer data, because you'll act as like a drop ship for them, or you'll be shipping the customer. So I do think that there'll be opportunities, but they'll continue to grow. But we're already tapping into them. So that's another way to acquire more first party data, I would say, is having those, partnerships. But if you can do it yourself, that's a gold mine. So
golden customer record.
Yeah.
Segmentation. Oh, Shri.
I'm talking your
language. I'm in heaven. All right. So now the fun one. I'm going to finish off our questioning here. Actually, Ekta, I'd love to know, do you have a particular favorite product or group of products at E.L.F. Beauty? And then also, as you start to think about inspiration, are there particular types of brands outside of beauty that you really admire and you recommend people follow because of innovative things they're doing?
Absolutely. So you asked me for my favorite products. I always have them. This is our Key Soul Care Obsidian Roller, of course. My favorite E.L.F. Putty Primer. I have that and I use it every single day. Well People, I can't leave that brand out. Our bio-based baked brightener. So these are my products that I always go to. They're beautiful, they're effective, and the payoff is great. So I would say those are my favorite products. And in terms of what brands do I admire? I admire so many people out there because we're not the best, right? So you always have to go out and see what other people are doing. I'm a big fan from a digital perspective of Chipotle. and we collaborate with them. We think they are amazing with their digital strategy. They're always at the forefront of what they're doing. So follow Chipotle, learn more about Chipotle. They are a rock star brand. The second one that we love is Burberry. I think they have an amazing digital strategy. My CMO and I are always sharing these lists of people that we admire and we want to follow. And I would say Burberry is another one. Personally, I love Stitch Fix, and that's been one of my favorite brands from a personalization perspective, and they do it extremely, extremely well. So these are some of the brands that I would say high level are very great. But some of the up and coming in our category, Worst, Tula, like these are the brands that are creating these new clean beauty segments that I think are very interesting, and they do a great job. Beauty Counter. So we follow a lot of people, but we admire some of the ones that I just said.
Thank you so much for that, Ekta. And for all audience, I want to remind you that you can find all our content on cpgguys.com, and you can join the growing CPG Guys family in one of two ways or both ways. You can simply go to linkedin.com and in the search bar, type CPG Guys and hit the follow button. And we actually have an Instagram channel too. And all you got to do is open up your Instagram, type CPG Guys, and follow us there too, where we have a unique IGTV series where we feature many luminaries from the CPG industry, retail, brands, service providers, where we chat about one question a day, one answer less than 5 minutes. And you can find it by trying to find our IGTV series. We already have a handful of them and many more to come.
Shri, I hear we're also on TikTok, aren't we?
Yes, that's correct. Peter and I on TikTok.
We have to do a dance. We have to do something.
Yes.
I hear you have talent in your family around this, Shri. We're going to have to leverage your children to help us.
I want to
create
remind
something
you, Peter,
meaningful.
on the CPG Guys, we do what our audience tells us.
Yeah. Okay.
So if the audience reminds us and wants us to do a happy dance, we'll do one eventually one of these days. No problem. But this show is scripted by y'all with the polls that y'all respond to. And recently back in April 2021, we had done 3 polls with you folks, and y'all had told us where to focus on. There was a post made back on April 18, 2021. You can go back and look at it. And y'all have coached us that we really need to keep this show more e-commerce focused than anything else. There's less interest in the in-store business model. There is a interest in the D2C space significantly. And finally, y'all have been very clear with us that you want to continue scripting the show go forward. So we thank you for that. Ekta, thank you so much for coming on the show, making time for us today, and have such a hearty dialogue with us that ranged the spectrum of retail media to data. If there's one word Peter is going to celebrate today and plaster all over that wall in his background, and that's the word loyalty. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, guys. It was amazing.
To my friend and co-host, Mr. Bond, aka 007, the man with the golden voice, thank you so much for doing this week over week with me.
Oh, of course, Shri. And what a great episode. I learned a lot today. It was a lot of fun. It was terrific. And it just keeps getting better. Having the guests on and talking about these imperatives that our followers are telling us they want us to explore. It's great for us. It's great for them. Everybody's happy. So thank you, Shri.
Absolutely, Peter. Thank you. And for our audience, catch you soon on another episode of the CPG Guys.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of,
reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.